Welcome back to another episode of Demystifying SAP S4HANA. I'm Faisal, SAP consultant at PwC.
Yes, and I'm Thorsten Hübsch, partner at PwC and leading the SAP practice in Belgium and the European Center of Excellence for SAP Strategy. Hi, Faisal.
How are you, Thorsten?
I'm doing well, although we are probably the first tech podcast who managed to record the first 6 sessions without even touching upon AI. And our dear listeners have already hinted on that, and I think that's the reason why we get together today.
Indeed, Thorsten. Thank you, our dear listeners, for your feedback on this. And we, of course, want to jump immediately on this hot topic. Let's zoom into this together, Thorsten.
Indeed. So basically, as in all domains, technology domains, also AI is a big component for SAP. It's very important, very crucial. Potentially, the question whether SAP will stay relevant or not in the future, or just become another software provider. So actually, very often, as we see it already in the past, SAP came quite late to the game when it comes to the AI party. But now it's even more powerful by introducing their new AI assistant, SAP Joule, to all applications, to all SAP applications. So together with the strategic partnership of Microsoft, where they integrate with Copilot, SAP actually managed to leverage the huge data footprint that they have actually access to throughout the different clients and applications to make use for that and make Joule actually a companion in the daily life of end users, key users, to really leverage the potential towards productivity, but also insight into data much better than in the past. So that's probably the biggest step forward for SAP, that they managed to get this AI tool up and running.
Okay, you mentioned SAP Joule. What inspired the creation of it? Is it just to keep up and adapt to recent trends, or does it actually have a unique purpose that they want to bring forward?
Yeah, I think the strategy behind that was that when you look at SAP in 5 years and you imagine that SAP does not have an AI component, the solutions become clearly transactional systems of the past. So they might be still good in that, but they will not be at the front end towards the end user. So it was very important for SAP to immediately catch up with that and jump on that train on the one hand side. On the other hand side, there's also a very, let's say, good argument that this AI solution comes from SAP themselves. Because if you imagine you have an SAP system, you don't want to put AI on top and neglect everything around authorization or integration underneath. You don't want that an arbitrary end user can all of a sudden ask any question to an AI tool and then gets answers on data which they are not supposed to see. And that's, of course, the differentiating element. With SAP Joule, it is possible to put actually an AI on top of everything that an SAP customer has already built, with a thorough authorization concept, and so that someone who is interacting then with the system is, on the one hand side, only seeing what she or he is supposed to, but for all can leverage all these data in a completely different manner. So if they have access, they can ask questions where they potentially today would not have been able to get this information out of the system, simply because they wouldn't have known which functionality to use for XYZ. And that, of course, that knowledge, how to get to certain answers, that's known, that's public knowledge. And to combined with the access to the right data, users can actually completely shift their productivity and their insights into these data.
Yeah, you already mentioned some benefits from this SAP Joule. But how can SAP customers specifically benefit from it? Like any use case maybe, or?
Yeah, well, before we get there, there are a couple of prerequisites because on the one hand side, SAP Joule was not available in many applications for quite some time. So it started all with SuccessFactors, and now it's also basically coming step by step into other applications. We see it now also in the latest version of S4HANA, but here important, the latest version. So we just went live in November with a customer on S4HANA, and he is on S4HANA 2023, but in order to use the functionalities that he really needs to go even to the latest feature pack stack. And so it is important to really apply then also the latest versions to leverage that. So on the one hand side, the technology basis, but on the other hand side, rules that apply in other area of AI also apply to SAP and AI. Of course, if your data quality in your system is not appropriate, you can put a smart AI on top, but your answers will not necessarily be better. So also here, another prerequisite is to have decent data quality. Otherwise, the answers AI will give are not necessarily helpful and helping you in your daily life working with SAP. So that's basically already to the prerequisites. What are the specific benefits for it? Well, you can actually say it's like a turbo booster for your SAP system. I mentioned a bit that already before. So if you have an end user who has, for example, a lot of access to data, but is not that proficient in using it, SAP Joule basically can help him that they can, with normal prompts, with normal requests, get an answer, not precisely knowing how to maneuver through SAP, but that SAP Joule will do for you. Either it will tell you where to find it or directly provide the answer based on your access to the data in an SAP system. And that's, of course, a huge benefit. It's good to be an expert and work with it, but if you're not an expert and you only have the access, you also will not be able to leverage everything. And there, SAP Joule is bridging the gap to basically have a stirred portion for the end user sitting in front of the screen and working with SAP.
Maybe a small question besides that. Our consultants, will they be replaced by SAP because of the AI Joule?
That's a very good question. And the clear answer to that, in my opinion, is no. Because, and this is basically also something that we see as a concern in other domains, will we be replaced by AI? And also here, we will, a consultant might be replaced by another consultant who knows how to work with AI, but consultants itself will definitely not be replaced. It seems to be strange, but with AI, world became even more complex, especially for the way how to construct these systems. I mentioned already data quality, but also, of course, integration. So a lot of elements become an even higher focus when trying to leverage that with AI. Long answers short, we will need to adapt and change what we will be basically delivering as consultants. Not that much that we will be replaced as such, because of course we also know AI still has one flaw, that is hallucinating. And of course, you don't want that your business application, or in the worst case, your month-end closing, is a product of a hallucination. So from that perspective, I can definitely assure you that we will need consultants potentially with a slightly different skill set than in the past.
Okay, great to know. What is the biggest challenge that SAP has at this moment when it comes to AI?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there are actually a number of challenges. I think it's not a big problem that they came late to the party, as I mentioned earlier. That can be compensated in today's world. We see that also in the big battle between OpenAI and Gemini. It's basically head-to-head, and one is further ahead, the other one the other. So I think being late is not the big problem. But a big challenge at the moment is still that you have a high prerequisite in terms of technology. So you really need to run the latest application to profit from SAP Joule. That's one thing. Another one is once you use it, depending on what you manage to negotiate with SAP, SAP Joule can come with quite a high price tag. Basically, it's a volume model. And the more requests you are launching, the more expensive it becomes. So there's, of course, then also a question, how many end users do you want to allow to use SAP Joule? And how much is actually the value that you create? Of course, you don't want to pay just for people who are playing around and are curious to find out the one or the other thing. At the end, it's a business decision and how to introduce it and to have then also the value created for the money that you invest. In addition, of course, SAP Joule is really cool if you have an wall-to-wall SAP company. That means companies that use basically SAP for most of their business applications. But this is in many organizations not the case. We see in many companies rather disperse heterogeneous system landscapes. There is Salesforce, there is Microsoft, there is an MES provider which also adds their system. And then, of course, also the data are scattered over many systems. And then you might not like to invest as an SAP customer in SAP Joule, because you don't want to have only the answer from your SAP system that has maybe only a particular view on your question, but you want to have actually an overspanning AI, in investing in an AI technology that has access to all these solutions. And when providing answers or when providing assistance, that they basically then can leverage all the data from the different solutions that are in place. So that's actually a bit the challenges that I see at the moment, where I think also SAP has not yet found the final answer how to crack the last nut that I just mentioned. But let's keep it now with these couple challenges that I see. But I think also here we will see in the next months, Sapphire is coming up in the next weeks. We will see also announcements which might give answers to these challenges.
So more to come in terms of AI to tackle these challenges.
Absolutely. There
good.
we can be sure.
Then maybe more a personal question, Torsten. What's your favorite AI tool at the moment? Do you use SAP Joule or is it something else?
Well, I experimented with SAP Joule in a demo environment. I personally do not work in daily life with SAP Joule, also due to the fact that I'm not an SAP end user 8 hours, 9 hours a day. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, I know what SAP Joule can do, but no, I do not use it every day and extensively. But what I like very much as an AI tool is actually a tool that PwC has created themselves on top of SAP, which is also something which is very important to differentiate, maybe to deep dive into that for a second. We must differentiate between AI with SAP or on top of SAP or by SAP. If we have SAP Joule, that was the topic that we mainly touched so far. We are talking about an AI technology that is provided by SAP. But of course, independent of which solution you are using, even going down to the SAP ECC, to legacy systems, it is possible to put an AI on top of it. And there also PwC has been experimenting already for quite some time and has launched a couple of years ago an AI tool which I very much like and which is still my personal favorite because it is just so convincing to end users and our clients when we present it. The tool is called Auto Commenting. PwC also received an innovation award for that. So what does Auto Commenting do? It basically is speaking to the CFOs of these worlds. So imagine you're doing your month-end closing and your analysts or also your communication department wants an interpretation of the numbers. So you first have these numbers plain in a balance sheet. You have your profit and loss, all great, all good. You did your job. But then what does it take still to put that into a nice press release or into an interpretation? And there auto-commenting can help. So basically what it does, it takes the key financial data from your SAP system, compares it with potential competitors in the market, but also with, let's say, market trends at the moment, overall economic situations, and basically with a push of the button, provides you with an interpretation of these numbers. And I just remember when I presented that to one CFO of a large chemical company. The CFO said, listen, what I got here now as text took me 2 experienced people from my team a couple days to really formulate and fine-tune to a level of quality that I see here. I'm so convinced, and we had basically in a very short time, we had an interested customer that really wanted to have the tool immediately available for his department in order to just simply save time in a task that can normally only be taken up by quite experienced people. And that's, of course, a very tangible and great example where AI can be really useful.
Yeah, and at the end, saving time is saving money.
Exactly. Or using that time for other things. Indeed, Faisal.
Yes, thanks again for these valuable insights in a very actual topic today. Thanks again for the listeners for reminding us. Every feedback, again, is welcome, so we can touch these in other episodes. Are you looking forward to them, to these next episodes? Hit that subscribe button and do not miss anything of our following ones. Cheers.
Cheers, Faisal. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.